Hi guys, I'm back and this is a wig chat. It's kind of about how to handle your first wig, kind of like an introduction to wigs, kind of what you should need to know when you are at that point in your life where you know that you need a wig. I've made mistakes and I have been wearing wigs full on for 3 years now. However, I purchased my first wig maybe 11 years ago because I knew what was coming. Let me backtrack and I will ease my way into what I'm trying to explain, and I will show you because I have a few items that I think will help you if you are new to wigs, and just some suggestions, that's all. Back when I started losing my hair, it was devastating because in the first place, I dyed my hair very dark like this. And as you can see, it's one dimensional and it's just not flattering. When I was a child, I had pitch black hair. I was also a child. So my skin was different. I had no wrinkles. On kids, it's cute. When you begin to age and the color of your face changes slightly, it's not as, let's say, the rosiness has been replaced by rosacea, and you've got age spots, you've got wrinkling, gravity has taken a toll. Sometimes that dark hair just doesn't look as good as it did when you were younger. Um, but let me go back to how I started with this whole thing. And it was very embarrassing. I started out by using Topic, and to this day, I highly, highly, highly recommend for those who have just started to see their hair thinning, or for those whose hairline is starting to recede. I am telling you, Topic is the greatest, greatest thing you will find. It's messy when you put it on, it gets all over the place, but it does the job. I mean, I used Topic for years and I was incredibly happy. Even right before that time where I realized that I needed to wear a wig, um, I would get my hair styled by Adam over at Blue Moose Salon in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and he was a genius. I would take my Topic with me, he would style my hair, he would sprinkle it in, and he knew how to hide what was coming. He knew how to hide the bald spot. He knew how to hide the thinness. And the one thing about Topic is that if you just spray it slightly, it stays like it'll stay in your hair for days. So eventually, the Topic didn't work anymore. And I had to go to alternative hair. Now, the first wig that I ever purchased was Scorpio by Revlon. And this was back like 10, 11 years ago. I purchased three of them. And back then you could get them for like $70 a piece. Inflation. But I ordered one in black, which was my dyed hair color of choice at the time, and two in lighter colors. And the thing is, when I think about it, when I think back, they really, really looked good. Um, they had bangs, so you didn't have to worry about a parting space. But the thing is, I was too embarrassed and too afraid to wear them out in public because I thought, oh my God, what are people going to think? This doesn't look like my hair. They're going to know that I'm wearing a wig. Oh my God, this is so awful. And it was ridiculous. There was no reason for me to think about what others thought. I also had another, it was a hair piece, and it was by Henry Margaux. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it was a really cute velvet hairband, and attached to the hairband was like a 3/4 wig that came about chin length, and you could style it so that it either flipped out or flipped under in a bob, and it was great. I wore that quite often. Um, at the time, I wasn't married to the Frenchman yet, and he kind of didn't know how to take this. I'm not going to say he was negative about it, but he certainly wasn't encouraging. His thing was more like hide hide the spots. I don't think he got it yet, but it was really difficult for me, and that's why I can empathize with any woman out there, any of you out there, whether you are losing your hair because of a condition that I have, which is trick. I pulled and pulled and pulled and picked up my hair for years. That was my way to that was my way to deal with the stress in my life without taking medication. And that was my way to deal with emotional issues that I had. Unfortunately, when you have trick, you can do permanent damage. And I did do permanent damage to this day, when I am home and in the privacy of my own house, I still pull up my hair. It's so gross, but it is what it is. What can I say? Um, anyway, going back to when I first started wearing wigs. So I remember the first time I decided to wear Scorpio in public. I went to my sister's out in Long Island for a weekend, and I was still really like, I was so timid. I guess timid is the best way to describe it because I wasn't confident. And my niece got into the car after her lacrosse game, and her reaction was, "Aunt Kathy, are you wearing a wig?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, it looks good." And that was it. Um, but I was still a little bit, I don't know, I was just afraid. I was afraid of the way I looked. I was afraid of so many things. And eventually, I knew that the time had come for me to actually wear wigs. What I did was I did a lot of research online on, this is when now YouTube has um, finally been created, and women were reviewing wigs on YouTube. But we didn't see any Caucasian women reviewing wigs. We saw women of the African American community reviewing wigs. And that's how I started to get into wigs. And I'm going to say something. Man, I freaking hand it to African American women because they wear their wigs proudly. How can I put this? Don't let wigs define you. You need to define the wig. And that's the attitude that I saw on so many of the reviews that African American women were giving of wigs. They owned it. They did not let the wig take over. They took over that wig. And that was probably the biggest aha moment that I have ever had emotionally about wigs, but there was still a lot to learn. I did start ordering wigs from the sites that these women recommended, and I watched videos on how to manipulate a wig. Now, this wig is Canis. This is by the company It's a Wig. This is one of the first wigs that I wore. Now, it's way too dark. I really should get rid of it, but because of emotional reasons, I can't. I can't get rid of it. But I cut the lace off as I saw in all of the videos. I tweezed the parting space. I didn't need to thin it out. I put concealer on the parting space and wore it. And other than the color, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to show you the instruments that you do need when you are first new to wigs. And I'm going to recommend for anybody that's new to wigs, go onto a site that sells wigs that are marketed for African American women, because these are the wigs that are most affordable. These are the wigs that you can practice at home. You're not, if you make a boo-boo or an error, these are wigs that most of them, or a good number of them, are under $30. So it's not like you are spending hundreds of dollars on a good wig only to put it on and find out that it's not really what you wanted. There are thousands and thousands of wigs to choose from. And one of the biggest, I would say my biggest issue with African American wigs is that the shade range isn't all that great, but things are changing. You definitely have to manipulate these wigs. They are budget wigs, but so many of them are so well made. This wig is from the company It's a Wig, and I love their wigs. I have another one of the wigs, Justine. I have a couple of Justines, and the color is much, much lighter, and I still wear I wear the wig. Now, I'm going to show you. Here's the parting space. I did use a tweezer on this, and I did use concealer in the form of a powder. I'm going to show you the instruments. First, you need a scissor, because these wigs do come with a lace front, and the lace usually comes down to about a quarter of the forehead. So you'll just take a scissor and cut the lace as close as possible to the hairline as you can. Don't worry if you're going too close. Chances are you're not going to go too close. Just make sure you see a smidge, a teeny weeny smidge of lace. The first time I did this, I was so scared. But by the third time I did it, it was just like, oh yeah, I could do this with my eyes closed. And trust me, I'm cross-eyed. So if a cross-eyed person can do it, you can do it. And that's what I did. I think for the amount of labor that goes into these wigs, you're getting a great deal. Okay, so secondly, the parting space is usually minuscule. Things have changed where these more affordable wigs are changing their parting space to be a little bit thicker, so you don't have wider, so you really don't have to tweeze. But still, you do have to tweeze a good many of them, especially if you want it to look like a more natural parting space. Here is a tweezer that I have. This one is by Revlon. It's a cheap tweezer, but I like the sharpness and the angle of the edges here. It works beautifully for tweezing the parting space from a wig. It takes time. You're not gonna, it's like you don't want to go through this in 2 seconds, because there is the chance that if you are not careful enough, you will rip the lace parting space on the wig, and you don't want to do that. Even if you spend like $15 on a wig, you still don't want to do that. So you need to take your time when you're tweezing the parting space in a wig. Next, to make that parting space look like it's really coming from your scalp, get some powder. This is Maybelline's Fit Me. A lot of people use this on their face. I use this on wigs for parting space. The shade that this is 110 Porcelain. So all you need to do, right now I have one of these little like spoon brushes. Just get the product on, and go to town making that space. Um, I like, I happen to like this spoon brush because it's long and it's thin, so it fits the parting space perfectly. And you just want to dab, or you can use a regular concealer and do the same thing. And you also want to get right where wig meets forehead, because there is a line of demarcation, especially when it's like a stiffer lace. Look more for the Swiss lace wigs, because the line of demarcation is little to none, especially when you're hiding it with concealer. Okay, I'm going to take this off because I have another one of my favorite affordable wigs to show you. Ooh. Now here's the inside. Oh, I also put medical tape over here on the bottom of the parting space because I think that also helps to mimic how your scalp looks as well. But I'll tell you, the one thing about these budget wigs that I think are absolutely fantastic, they have combs. So you have additional security. And I wish that the more expensive and pricier wig companies did that too, because it doesn't take much to sew a comb into a wig. And there are combs on each side. Now, the cap construction is great. There's really nothing that I can say about this Conus wig except the fact that it's just way too dark. It just doesn't look natural on me. Now, I have another wig here. This is Swami. I freaking love this bob. This bob is by Free Tress Equal, and or as others know the company as Free Tress Shake and Go. Adjustable straps, adjustable bra straps, just like the higher ends. And we have the combs. I mean, this is a well-made wig, and I love Swami. Hold on. I'm going to put her on so you can see how she looks. I did a review on this. Now, this is a really, really old wig. I've had this wig for a long time. Oh, I think my husband's home. He is. Okay, so I've had this one for a really, really long time. Hold on. I'm combing her with my hands. That's not right. So I'm just going to comb her out. Now, as you can see, she is a great blob. This shade, I believe, is the shade PB Coffee or PB Mocha. I have 4 Swamis. Now, one of the things that I'm going to show you, another thing that I'm going to show you is if you decide to get one of these budget wigs as your first wigs, so you can kind of experiment and see what you think looks best. This is called Tinkle. It's like the dumbest ass name in the world. It's like people toilet train their kids and say, "Are you going to go tinkle, honey?" So having this thing called Tinkle reminds me of the transition from diapers to underwear. And trust me, now I'm at that age where it's the transition from underwear to diapers. So maybe Tinkle does have a good meaning for me. But it's two-sided. And this is for thinning. Now, Swami is really, really thick. And I've had to thin Swami out. What I do is I just take it from the inside and thin it out. And you can see the hair fibers that come out with it. Now, if I was going to wear this out today, I would definitely put a little bit more concealer in the parting space, but as I've said, this has been in the closet for so long that like I have to do more tweezing and manipulate her a little bit more. But the gist of this conversation is that's what you want to do. And you can turn this wig into a great wig. This is the wig, and these are the wigs that you can be wearing around the house when you start your transition into wigs. As I said before, don't let the wig define you. It's like wearing a dress. Don't let the dress wear you. You wear the dress. Don't let the clothes wear you. You wear the clothes. So don't let the wig wear you. You wear the wig. And the other component that you need, besides the scissor, besides the tinkle, besides the tweezer, besides the concealer, is confidence. And I think that's the biggest thing. You need confidence, because when you go out there and you are confident, your confidence is going to overpower any fake hair that you are wearing. Trust me on this. Um, hair loss hair loss is devastating, but it's not the end of the world, because there are solutions. And wearing wigs are a great solution. Right now, there are so many wig companies to choose from. Um, as I said, I think for your first wigs, just to experiment, um, budget wigs like this are a wonderful asset. They're also great for women who cannot afford to spend hundreds of dollars on a wig. I think that they're great. And I think the for me, Free Tress Equal, Bobby Boss, and It's a Wig are my favorite, by far my favorite budget brand wigs. I think all three are wonderful. The wigs are well constructed. The choice that you have is great. It's a Wig's Justine wig is one of the greatest wigs of all time. I love Swami. I think Swami is great, although Swami needs manipulation more so than Justine. This is still a great wig. Bobby Boss wigs are fantastic as well. I have quite a few of them and I really like them, and I still wear them. Not, albeit not a lot, because I've learned what wigs really look good and what wigs work. As you become more familiar and more comfortable with wigs, then you're going to take a trip outside. Maybe it's going to be to the mailbox. Maybe it's going to be to the grocery store. Maybe it's just going to be outside in your backyard. But the more you wear a wig, the more you're going to become comfortable. It's really weird when you first put a wig on, because you're like, whoa, that's me? Like, that's so weird. But it's not weird. After you get used to it and used to it and used to it, you're going to have that day where it's going to hit you and you're going to realize, whoa, like, I wear wigs all the time. I'm more comfortable in a wig than not in a wig. And it's so true, because wigs are basically part of my wardrobe now. I put my bra on, I put my panties on, I get dressed, and I plop my hair on. And trust me, it is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. When I am at a family wedding, or if I'm getting ready for a family party, all I have to do is plop a wig on my head while everybody else is in the bathroom with their curling iron and their straightening iron and their blow dryer. Um, I'm saving money by going to the hair cutter every week and getting my hair washed and blown out. So it's a trip. It's a journey and it's a trip. And you need to have the confidence, and I know you can do it. So that's just a little bit of a chat. If you are suddenly losing your hair, if you are experiencing thinning hair, if you are experiencing aging hair, if you have shitty hair and you want your hair to look better, get a wig, because you're going to find out that eventually wigs are where it's at and they look good. So that is it. Let me try to get out of this again because I'm having such issues. Hold on. I'm having like really major issues with my mouse today. Hold on. Oh, yeah, there we go. So that's it. Now I'm in the darkness and so sorry, but I got to turn this thing off. So have a great afternoon, have a great Sunday, and blessings to everybody. Bye now.